Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 23rd of March and I welcome you all at the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the video, and in today's video we are going to discuss entire analysis of Hindu newspaper, all the articles along with the background and detail forward we will be seeing. And I would like to tell you that you can download the notes of this session from our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. Now, before starting, first of all, let's take overview of entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are actually important in today's newspaper. So here, COVID-19 pandemic is far from over, warns the Prime Minister. Okay, so guys, it has been provided that we need to go for more genome sequencing because newer variants of COVID-19 SARS-CoV-2 virus are emerging. However, for exam, the article doesn't contain much of a substance. Then further barricades of UK mission in Delhi after protest in London, nothing very much important. Then we have these advertisements, and then after the Delhi budget, the Gehlot announces budget for clean Delhi. Okay, now understand this particular thing. You are not required to see the state specific budgets for UPSC examination, but if you are preparing for some state PCS examination, then your state's budget you should be careful about. But for our examination, fine, you are not required to see every state's budget. So moving on, we have these advertisements and regional news etc. not important for our examination, so directly we will skip from here. Okay, we will directly be skipping from here. Then further moving on, we reach to editorial page, and on editorial page the limits of American power in West Asia, we'll see this particular article for exam. Then abolition is the way. So this article guys, also we will see the article is talking about that there is need for bringing reforms in way executions or the capital punishments are given in the country, so more humane ways are needed to be found out. We'll take this article. Then further moving on, old pension as a burden on the poor. So basically we have seen that in last few months many of state governments are moving from new pension scheme to old pension scheme. Now, you just need to know the difference between new pension scheme and old pension scheme, and I have discussed that many number of times, but still telling you. So guys, when we talk about old versus new pension scheme, the difference is that in old pension scheme, the employees were given a guaranteed pension which was approximately 50% of their last drawn salary. Okay, and the people who have got retired till 2004, okay, they were given the old pension scheme. But what is new pension scheme? In new pension scheme, basically the employee and employer both will contribute money. That particular money will be invested, and out of that corpus then the pension will be given. Okay, so many of the people have expressed, and many of the state governments had said that we will offer the old pension scheme. Now this particular article is talking about that how much salary has been increased for class 4 employees. Okay, and all these particular calculations and data number etc has been given. So the article is going too much in the hairline details. You are not required to go in too much of that particular kind of data. Okay, so you are not required to go too much in that particular kind of data for our examination. Okay, fine. Now further moving on, final solution. So this article talks about the IPCC 6 assessment, IPCC's synthesis report that has been released. Fine, so we will take this particular article. Then further moving on, after that the road to ending tuberculosis, will take this article also for examination. Then the Fed is a prisoner of its own mind. The article guys doesn't contain much of a substance with respect to the our examination. Then the protest in France over pension reforms. Okay, so we will see this particular article briefly, that what this issue is all about, and how around the world graying population is leading to certain economic challenges in the countries. Then further moving on, what is the IPCC synthesis report and what does it say? So a similar article we also have on editorial page. We will club both of these articles and we'll see. Then coming to text and context page. So guys, this article is talking about the martyrdom of the great Bhagat Singh. So the great Bhagat Singh was martyred on 23rd of March 1931 when he was 23-year old. Now this particular article is talking about the depiction of Bhagat Singh in different movies. For example, in 2002, these three movies, Legend of Bhagat Singh, Shaheed Azam, etc., were released. Then the article is talking about that how he has been depicted. But guys, when we talk about this particular article doesn't contains academic substance Fine, for that particular matter you should refer to your history books. Okay, so that is about this. Now guys, this is actually a bibliography article, and in this bibliography article writers perspectives etc are actually given. Then further moving on, after that will government will attempt to open corridor in Sharda Pete. So Sharda Pete is the when we talk about the Sharda Pete is a revered site for the Hindu community, and to access that the government is planning that Kartarpur Sahib corridor type of arrangement will be done, so that the Hindu devotees can visit the Sharda Pete in Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Okay, that is all about it. Then further moving on guys, in this particular direction we have a lot of political articles, please don't go there. Then center is not committed to Naga peace talks. We'll see what are these Naga peace talks and why they are struck now. Then further moving on, again we have these uh, again then guys we have very much important. Indian Air Force pilots sharpen their skills at exercise Cobra Warrior. So we will see this Cobra Warrior exercise, what it is. Then further moving on, Supreme Court to hear petition seeking to criminalize marital rape. We'll take this article with respect to the examination. Fine. After that, Indian Army to reintroduce millets in rations of soldiers. So this year 2023 we are observing as International Year of Millets, and for that particular thing many interventions has been started. So for this, in the Indian Army also millets will be reintroduced in the rations, so a good move. Then GIS AID U-turn adds to confusion over COVID-19 data, not at all important article guys for the examination. Okay, then ghost of Assamese folklore cited in digital form with AI art. Okay, so there are the depictions on of many of the ghosts and spirits and the Assamese folklores which have now been recreated by artificial intelligence. Okay, now again guys, no need to go too much in detail in this article. Russia China vow to deepen relations, take aim at West. So virtually every other day this kind of an article comes where either Russia and China says that we are ready to take the West, or West is saying that they want to counter China and Russia. You are not required to track this particular article every day. Security stepped at Indian High Commission in London amid protest. Okay, then guys, recently we have seen that many of the we have seen that many of the Khalistani elements recently have tried to take down the Indian flag. So for that thing it's going on. You are not required to go too much in the detail here. Then further moving on, number of foreign businesses exiting India surpasses new entrants. We'll see this particular article, and basically the businesses exiting India in high numbers shows that ease of doing business might be having some kind of issues right now. We'll see this. Then slump in Chinese demand leads drag on India's engineering exports. Okay. After that, we have sports page. So this is overview of entire newspaper. And now let's discuss all relevant articles for our exam one by one in detail. Okay, so let's see that, and uh, let's start with this. So guys, as I told you that you can download the notes. Okay, so you can download this PDF from our Telegram channel. So today being 23rd of March, we will take the quotation from the great Bhagat Singh. So Bhagat Singh says, bombs and pistols do not make a revolution. The sword of revolution is sharpened on the whetting stone of ideas. So Bhagat Singh, uh, we often have an understanding of Bhagat Singh that Bhagat Singh advocated violence, bloody revolution, but that is not entirely correct. Bhagat Singh himself has stated this thing, that only the violence cannot be sufficient to bring complete revolution. Revolution needs ideology. Revolution needs ideas, and on the whetting stone of ideas, the revolution can be sharpened. So this is the Bhagat Singh's viewpoint on this. Okay, so that is all about it. We can use it in GS paper number 1, GS paper number 4, we can use it in essays, etc. So always the violence cannot be the solution. Fine, even Bhagat Singh admitted that thing. Now further moving on, and let's take the first article for today. So here in the first article that we are taking, actually we have clubbed two articles. One article we have taken from editorial section, and other article we have taken is from text and context section, because both these articles are talking on the same theme. Now first of all, we will be seeing this particular article for GS paper number 3, GS paper number 3, climate change. GS paper number 3, issues related to climate change. Now, what is the IPCC synthesis report and what does it say? Now, before going in this article, guys, let's understand about little bit of basic background information. So when we talk about IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So this is a body which plays the role of preparing reports on the climate change patterns that are coming in the world. And when we talk about the IPCC, IPCC works under UN, United Nation. So basically UNEP, World Meteorological Organization, they have come together and IPCC has been formed. Now, when we talk about IPCC, guys, IPCC releases the report which is called as assessment report. And on the assessment report, it studies the scientific data and provides that in which direction climate change is moving upon. Up till now, five assessment reports have been released by IPCC since 1990s. And now IPCC is releasing sixth assessment report. It's releasing sixth assessment report since 2021. Now guys, what has happened when we talk about these assessment reports? These assessment reports are released in actually four parts: working group 1 report, working group 2 report, working group 3 report, and then a consolidated summary of all these three reports. That is the summary of working group 1, working group 2, working group 3. It is released, and that summary is called as synthesis report. It is called as synthesis report. So what has happened already? These three reports have been released, and now IPCC has released its synthesis report. So therefore, these two articles have come in today's newspaper. Now, understand one more thing, that guys, when we talk about the IPCC doesn't carries its own scientific research. It doesn't does that. It actually compiles the scientific papers written by other scientist communities, scholars. Fine. So please keep it in your mind. It doesn't carries its own research. Now, as I was telling you about these working group reports, so basically when we talk about these three reports, so working group 1, it studies the physical science base. The working group 1 report, it evaluates the physical science basis of climate change. What is a physical science on whose basis we can conclude that whether the climate is changing or not? Then after that, we have this working group 2 report, and working group 2 report, it largely evaluates that the impact of climate change. For example, we say that rainfall patterns will change. Okay, we say that the glacial ice will melt, sea level will rise. So what is impact? Okay, adaptation, how we can adapt, and vulnerability, which communities, which countries will be more vulnerable. So this thing is provided by working group report number 2, and working group 3 report number 3 evaluates the mitigation, how we can mitigate from the climate change and its catastrophic impacts. So these are the three reports. Now, when we talk about the IPCC, guys, IPCC in past had said multiple number of times that we are not doing sufficient to tackle the climate change problem that is coming. And according to IPCC, in 2018, they have already given a kind of a warning. They have said this particular thing, that there is a sustained increase in greenhouse gas that is going on, and it has been provided that already that global temperature has increased. Global temperature has increased by 1.1% already when compared with the pre-industrial levels. And if we don't act immediately, then the temperature rise will go up, and then it will threaten the human security. Now, one point I want to add here is that in 2015, Paris Agreement was signed, and in that Paris Agreement, a kind of a target was taken that we will try that temperature should not rise to 2 degrees Celsius or more, and if possible, we'll try to restrict it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So the target was of 2 degrees Celsius, but if possible, they'll try to restrict the climate temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. This was a target, but already 1.1 degrees Celsius temperature rise have happened. Now, the latest report, this is the the IPCC sixth assessment report के अंदर में synthesis report that has been released. This report had said that, understand this thing, that if we want to restrict the temperature rise below 1.5 degrees Celsius, then we need to take some urgent steps. What are these urgent steps? Step number 1, we need to reduce the emission by 48%. We need to we need to reduce emission to 48% at 2019 level by 2030. Okay, now what does it mean? So basically 2019 is taken a baseline. 2019 is taken a baseline. So whatever emissions we were doing in 2019, okay, let's say we were doing 100 units of emission in 2019. So we need to, by 2030 year, we need to reduce this 100 unit to just 48. Okay, so the greenhouse gas emissions are reduced to 48% of 2019 level. So drastic reduction is taken, and by 2050 this reduction should be 99%. The reduction should be 99% by 2050. So only if we do this, then the temperature rise will be arrested. Okay, but guys, if we see, then we are not on the path to reduce emissions. We are emitting a lot of carbon, and it has been said that if we will carry as we are going on, if business as usual approach will be there, then the temperature rise will go from, there will be 2.5 degree to 3.2 degree Celsius temperature rise by 2100, and by this particular thing, lot of low-lying countries, they will get submerged, lot of oceans will get submerged. Okay, now further, it has also been provided that the report had highlighted that there will be a lot of economic losses and damages that will be incurred by some of the island nations, and for that particular thing a financial resolution is needed. And for such, when we talk about the financial resolution, a kind of a loss and damage fund can be created. Now, when we talk about the loss and damage fund, now see, report is not talking about loss and damage fund, but we are connecting it with the loss and damage fund. So what has happened recently, there was a COP27 meet that was held in Egypt, and in COP27 Egypt, the idea of loss and damage fund was born. As per this idea, it was provided that a fund will be created, and that particular fund will be used to provide money to the countries which are getting disproportionately impacted by climate change, particularly the island nations. Okay, so this is a kind of a financial resolution. So such kind of a thing should be created. Okay, then further moving on after that, now what can be way forward in this particular situation? What is the way forward in this particular situation? So number one, the report suggests that there should be the climate resilient development. Climate resilient development which can withstand the climate change. Okay, moreover, climate the development also needs to be the eco sensitive. The green growth is something that we should focus now. Moreover, we also need to ensure that there is access to clean energy. In clean energy, renewable energy, wind energy, solar energy's accessibility is to be provided to developing countries, the countries which have solar potential, for example. Okay, and for this thing, technology and funding is very much important, and developed countries should come forward. Okay, improving air quality, increasing employment opportunities. Now, employment opportunities particularly can be increased into the green sector, green jobs, boosting healthcare through technology. Now, guys, see this thing, as temperature will change, what will happen? It has been seen that more of vector-borne disease such as malaria, chikungunya, they will increase, and for that particular thing, we also need to be prepared for a better healthcare delivery. Okay, moreover, as these climate extremes will be coming, then increased heat waves, etc., will also be there. So we also need to have good healthcare. Then delivering equity are among the reports recommending goals to help adapt to climate change. Now, what is this climate equity? There is one word, climate equity, climate justice. See, it particularly means that, first of all, what is the meaning of the word equity in this context? Up till now, the developed countries, the industrialized nations, they have emitted a lot of carbon and they become developed. Today, when the poor countries are becoming developing, when they are emerging and when they want to grow, on them a restriction is being imposed that you cannot use a lot of fossil fuels for your growth because climate change will come. So the developing countries, emerging countries need their fair share in carbon space. So giving them fair share in carbon space is climate equity. It is environmental equity. Moreover, one more thing that is being provided here is that disproportionate burden should not be imposed on the poor countries because they are not the big emitters. Big emitters are the industrialized nations, but they are not facing a lot of losses. Losses are being faced by the poor countries, developing countries. Okay, so this is something that has been provided, and financial investments will also be needed to finance, to ensure that unintended uh, damages don't happen to the poor countries. This is all about this particular article, guys. I hope that you have understood it. And now moving to the next article. Okay, now, so the next article, abolition is the way. Now, this article we'll see with respect to GS paper number 2, criminal justice system reforms. Criminal justice system reforms, and this article will also take for GS paper number 4, that is ethics. Ethics. Okay. Now, first of all, let me tell you little bit of a background of this particular article so that you can understand that what this article is actually talking about. So, background. Now, guys, understand this particular thing, that there is, when we talk about the punishment in lieu of an offense that a person has committed. So, when we talk about punishment, there can be certain theories around punishment. There are certain theories around punishment. Number one, there is a reformative theory of punishment. Reformative theory of punishment. Then there is retributive theory of punishment. Retributive theory of punishment, and then there is a deterrent theory of punishment. The deterrent theory of punishment, or the punishments of deterrence. Now, what is reformative theory of punishment? What it provides? It provides that a person is punished so that a person realizes his or her mistakes and becomes a reformed and a better human being. So, punishment is being given to a person to make them realize about the mistake that they have committed, to reform them. Then, retributive theory of punishment says that the punishment is given in order to make up for the damage that one person has done to another. Okay. For example, a person has basically a person has punched another person, and when this person has punched another person, there is a kind of an anomaly, there is a kind of a status quo, the balance has been disturbed. To restore that particular balance, the person is given the punishment, retributive, to make up for the loss, to make up for the damage. And then deterrence. Deterrence, now it is based on one particular dictum, one maxim. Let me speak that and then I'll explain. It is said that you are not punished because you have stolen a sheep. You are not punished because you have stolen a sheep. Rather, you are being punished so that no sheep is stolen in the future. So, point is that the purpose of punishment is to create an example out of that punishment so that other peoples also don't do that thing. So, reformative, retributive, deterrent. Now, when we talk about the democracies, the welfareist democracies, the rule-based democracies, procedure-based democracies, largely they opt for reformative form of punishment. And guys, in the reformative form of punishment, what will be the treatment of capital punishment? What will be the treatment of capital punishment or death penalty? What about death penalty? Can death penalty be accommodated or not? Now, if I take the example of European nations, particularly the countries which are the member of the European Union, they have completely abolished the death penalty. They say that no, we will not be giving the death penalty. If we take examples of many of the countries, let's say the example of Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, death penalty is given in many of the circumstances, because in a way they are not focusing too much on reformative, rather on retributive and deterrence. Now, what about India? When we talk about India, guys, India largely follows the reformative theory of punishment. But in India, do we allow death penalty? Yes, but death penalty are allowed in the rarest of the rare case. We have just kept it so that it can be used in a very rare circumstances. Okay, now a question comes that, okay, if death penalty is being given, what is the manner in which the death penalty is given? There can be many ways. For example, hanging a person till death, administering a lethal injection to a person, putting that particular person in a gas chamber. Okay, now understand this thing, that whenever the death penalty is administered, the focus is that it should not be painful. It should be less painful. It should be as less painful as possible. This is something that is the focus. Now, what this particular article is all about? The article is talking about the Supreme Court, which has now ventured to find out that what is the most dignified and what can be the least painful method to administer the death penalty to the people. First of all, death penalty will not be administered in every case. It will be given in rarest of the rare case. But when given, it should be least painful and it should be the most dignified. So what should be that way? As of now, when we talk about the death penalty, the death penalty in India is given by the practice of hanging. But still it has been said that we should find out if there is something even less painful, which involves a little cruelty. Okay, this is something that is going on. Now guys, when we talk about the death penalty issue in India, there are two important judgments that you should be knowing about. Number one is Bachchan Singh versus State of Punjab. Bachchan Singh versus State of Punjab. Now, what is this Bachchan Singh judgment? In this judgment, Supreme Court provided this thing that death penalty can only be given in the rarest of the rare case. Okay, and what are the rarest of the rare case? The Supreme Court will dictate in the times to come. As of now, what comes in the rarest of the rare case category? Number one, rapes leading to death. That will be the rarest of the rare case. Death penalty can be given. Fake encounters, death penalty can be given. Honor killings, death penalty can be given. These are the things which come in the rarest of the rare case category. So only in these cases the death penalty can be given, but it can be expanded also. Then there is also one more, that is Dina Dayal versus Union of India case. In this particular case, it was provided that if death penalty is being given, it should be as painless as possible. Okay. Now, when we talk about this particular thing, guys, then 35th report of the Law Commission, 35th report of the Law Commission in 1967 has dwelt on this particular matter and has provided that when death penalty is concerned, there are many methods of administering it. For example, electrocution, shock, use of gas chamber, lethal injection. Okay, but whether it is actually less painful or not, fine, there is not a concrete conclusion in this particular direction. So therefore, no change has been brought. Now understand this thing, Supreme Court actually has taken many other steps also. The Supreme Court has taken many other steps also in this particular direction. For example, guys, around 2013-14, Supreme Court ruled this particular thing, that if a person has applied for the mercy petition, if a person has been given a death penalty, and if the person has applied for the mercy petition, and if president has not disposed that mercy petition in a time bound manner, then a person's death penalty can be converted into the life imprisonment. That can be a ground. Now this judgment was given as a part of the Rajiv Gandhi case. Convicts were involved. So these are certain issues that have come in this particular direction, guys. Okay, I hope that you have understood it. And now moving to the next article. Center is not committed to Naga peace talks, NSCNIM. Okay, NSCNIM. So this particular topic, guys, as we are talking about, we'll see this particular article with respect to GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3, internal security. We'll see this particular topic with respect to the GS paper number 3, internal security. Now, let's start with the topic first. Okay. Now, what this article is actually, guys, talking about? The article is talking about the Naga peace process or Naga peace accord. Now, within GS paper number 3, the Naga peace talks happen to be a very important topic because of the Naga insurgency that has continued for so many of the years, which has actually become an internal security challenge in the past. Now, before going in this particular article, guys, I would like to tell you a little bit about the history of Naga insurgency. Now, let's talk about the history of Naga insurgency. So basically, guys, the Naga nationalism was born during colonial times. Okay, and the Naga leaders, they actually resisted the colonial rule. They said that Naga identity is unique and different, and Nagas themselves should be given the power to determine on their own matters. And what happened in 1918, Naga club was formed. Okay, and this Naga club wanted independence, autonomy. Then what happened as the things continued, fine. What happened over a period of time, in 1947, Naga National Council was born under the leadership of A.Z. Fizo. And Naga National Council, what they wanted independence for the Naga land, okay, for the Naga territories. Now, we know this particular thing, guys. that on August 15, 1947, India got independent. But just before that, one day before, what happened? The Naga National Council declares the independence of their Naga territories. They declared that particular thing. Okay, but obviously that particular thing was not accepted by the independent day country. And what happened? Nagaland was actually was made the part of the state of Assam. But since then, the Nagas, they have asked for the autonomy and independence for their own territories. And in this capacity, the resistance has been carried since 1947. Now see this thing, what happened in 1955, NNC, that is the Naga National Council, they also started armed insurgency for their independence. And for that particular thing also in 1958, AFSPA, Armed Forces Special Powers Act, was brought in the force and it was imposed. Now what happened? As the Naga people were asking for independence, and in order to in order to uh, in order to pacify their demands, in 1963 Nagaland was made as a separate state. I told you that earlier Nagaland was a part of the great state of Assam, but in 1963 Nagaland was made as a separate state, but still the leaders were not pacified because they wanted the autonomy and independence. Then what happened, guys? There was one more important landmark that came, that is 1975. In 1975, Shillong Accord was signed, and this Shillong Accord provided that there will be a ceasefire that will be facilitated between the NNC and between the government. Okay, now ceasefire means that the peace will come. Okay, the peace will come, and it was not liked by all the leaders. It was said that it is a sellout to government. It was not liked. And what happened? Because Shillong Accord by the NNC was not liked, in 1980, there was another organization that was born, that is Nationalist Socialist Council of Nagalim, NSCN. And this particular organization was determined to achieve the Naga independence. Now, as the NSCN was formed, what happened? Now, what is this Nagalim? Nagalim is an independent Naga nation that they wanted to make. So what happened? Around 1988, this NSCN got divided in two parts. One became NSCN K. K stands for Khaplang. Khaplang was a leader. And NSCN IM. NSCN IM stands for Isaac Muvaiya. Isaac Muvaiya. So these were the two factions that were made out of NSCN. Now, what has happened, guys? The NSCN and they carried their activities, and finally, 2015, finally, what happened? 2015. Naga Peace Accord was signed. Now, in this Naga Peace Accord, who had signed it? NSCN IM. Keep in mind, NSCN IM. NSCN K has not been very eager, but NSCN IM has signed this ceasefire. Now, in this ceasefire, it has been provided that government will give some concessions to the Nagaland, okay, and they will not pick up the weapons. They will stop the insurgency and all such kind of an activity. So, this Naga Peace Accord has been signed. Now, we are in 2023. In 2015, this framework agreement was signed. Up till now, 8 years have happened, but up till now, it has not been completely been executed. Now, first of all, let's understand that what are the problems that it has not been completely been executed. Okay, so the issue that comes here is that basically NSCN Isaac Muvaiya, they finalized the Naga Peace Accord. But they say that there is the two particular matters which has not been finally cleared. Number one, the sovereignty of the Nagas and the sovereignty of the Nagas. Now, it has been provided. Now, guys, see this thing, that when we talk about India, India is a sovereign nation. And in this particular capacity, when we talk about the states, nation, union has complete sovereignty, but states have limited sovereignty. Okay, for that particular matter, you might also be knowing about the Union and Territories chapter of Indian Constitution, where very clearly provided that if the union wants, then it can change the boundaries and all such kind of things can be done. So, India, union is sovereign, but when we talk about the states, state sovereignty is limited. But Nagas, NSCN wants that the state should also be given equal sovereignty. Moreover, they also say this particular thing, that there has to be coexistence of two entities. Okay, now the biggest issue that comes here is that the framework agreement when signed, so Naga people, NSC and IM, they have a perception that they will have their own separate constitution and they will have their own separate state flag, as it was there in the case of Jammu and Kashmir, they had their separate constitution. So Nagaland also need to have their separate constitution, and also they want a separate flag. But now what has happened, center had said that this condition has completely been changed after 2019, when the special status of Jammu and Kashmir was also taken back. Section sorry, we know this particular thing, that in 2019, fine, Article 370 got diluted and special status given to Jammu and Kashmir has also been taken back. So we cannot give you separate constitution, we cannot give you separate flag. This is something that government has put forward, but NSCN wants a separate flag and separate constitution. And because of this particular matter, things are not going forward. Things are not going forward. And here now the NSCN, now please read the article. So what article reads? Center is not committed to Naga peace talks, NSC and IM. So NSC and IM says that we are ready to go for the peace talks, but center doesn't want that. Why the center doesn't want that? Because they say that for us, having our own constitution, having our own flag is important, but center is not giving us. So they say that the center has stalled the process. Okay. So this is all about this particular article, guys. Fine. So if you read this entire thing, then you are not required to go too much beyond this Naga issue. And guys, here in this particular box, I have also provided the other agreements that have been signed for the stability in Northeast region. Karbi Anglong agreement, it was a tripartite agreement, three-party agreement, which was signed with the between the insurgent groups of Assam, central government and state government. Brew Accord, that was set aside for the permanent settlement of Brew families in Tripura. And Bodo Peace Accord, that was signed by the government of India, government of Assam, and the representatives of the Bodo group. Okay, so this is all about it. Now, moving to the next article. Moving to the next article. IAF pilots sharpen their skill at exercise Cobra Warrior in UK. Now, this article we can see with respect to the prelims examination, as well as the information that has been given here can also be used when GS paper number 2 international relations are concerned. So when we talk about, guys, the international relation, okay, India UK relations, this can be an example of convergence between India and UK. Example of convergence between India and UK. Let's see that, and then you'll be able to understand how. Okay, now, so basically the article talks about the Cobra Warrior. Now, what is the Cobra Warrior? So basically, guys, Cobra Warrior is a joint military exercise that got started between Germany and United Kingdom. And this particular military, this particular exercise is carried by the Royal Air Force of UK and German Air Force. Okay, and this exercise is usually held twice a year. Over the years, this particular exercise has been extended to other allies also. Now, when we talk about this exercise here, the air forces of both Germany and UK, they engage in training missions, air-to-air combat, air-to-ground attack, and all these capabilities. Now, what has happened this particular year, India is also participating between the Cobra Warrior exercise. Okay, so if we see here, so Air Force's Mirage 2000 aircrafts will be training for the joint training. Now, here, guys, LCA Tejas was also expected to participate, but right now only the Air Force Mirage 2000 aircrafts are participating. Now, apart from them, okay, apart from India, UK, Finland, Sweden, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, US, Singapore, Finland, okay, are joining also. Okay, and this is actually, guys, the first time, this is the first time that India and Saudi Arabia are joining this year. So this is about the Cobra Warrior exercise that is going on. Okay, so guys, it is started between UK and Germany, but now it has been extended to other countries, and these countries are participating this year. Please keep it in your mind. Now, moving to the next article. The road to ending tuberculosis. The road to ending tuberculosis. We'll see this article with respect to GS paper number 2, health. GS paper number 2, health. Okay, let's take the article. Okay, guys, when we talk about TB, tuberculosis, so tuberculosis is a contagious disease which can spread from one person to another person. So let's say a person is infected with tuberculosis. When that particular person sneezes, okay, through the droplets of that sneeze, it can spread to another person. When we talk about tuberculosis, tuberculosis is spread by Mycobacterium tuberculosis bacteria. And when we talk about India, India has one of the highest burden of tuberculosis cases in the world. Okay, when we talk about the tuberculosis, so tuberculosis has been declared as a global health emergency in 1993 by World Health Organization, and now we are in 2023. So since then, around approximately 30 years have been passed. But are we able? Have we made? Had we made some serious progress on tuberculosis? That is a matter that we need to see. Now, see this particular thing, that in 1993, the World Development Report was released, and this World Development Report labeled TB treatment for adults as the best buy among the developmental interventions. So they say this particular thing, that you are doing a lot of developmental interventions, education, health, many such things. But if you treat that adult people suffering with the TB, that can be the better and the best investment that can be done. It was provided. But till then, 30 years have happened, but much has not been done. Now, understand this particular thing, that as we talk about the today, so right now the goal has been taken by the world countries. It is to end the tuberculosis by 2030. But if I tell you about the India, in India we have started the TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan, where India has taken the timeline that we will eliminate TB by 2025. That is the 5 year earlier than the 2030 timeline. Now this 2030 timeline has also been taken under the SDG, Sustainable Developmental Goals, but we will do it by 2025, which is an ambitious target for India. However, whether it will get executed or not, that is a thing that we need to see. Now see, when we talk about the TB, the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, TB and Malaria, the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, TB and Malaria, it started giving funding to fight these three particular diseases. And this was the biggest initiative that got started, where the financial assistance was given for fighting the TB. And it is giving the money since 2003. But since then also 20 years have happened. But 20 years have happened, and this global fund has become the largest channel from where the money is coming from for the TB. But still now the TB has not been eliminated. Now, see this particular thing, that when we talk about this year, so India is chairing the G20, and this particular year Stop TB Partnership meeting will also be held in Varanasi in this week. Moreover, World TB Day will also be observed on March 24. So the Stop TB Partnership and World TB Day will coincide, and it shows India's resolve on TB. Now, this year G23 India is chairing and G7 Japan is chairing. So article says that G20 leader India and G7 leader Japan, they can come together and they can collaborate on certain initiatives as how TB's incidence can be reduced. Okay, so this is something that has been provided. Now, the article talks about that what can be the most effective interventions in TB that can be done, which can reduce the problem to a large extent. So it says that number one, we need to focus is on the development of adult TB vaccine. Now, when we talk about the TB vaccine, right now the TB vaccine that is being given is delivered at birth, and this particular vaccine is 100-year old. But till that time, the TB has mutated a lot. When we saw the COVID, SARS-CoV-2 virus has mutated a lot, and the vaccines have to be upgraded. They have to be updated to meet the mutations in the virus that is happening. So it is being provided that also it has been observed that over a period of time the immunity dips. So apart from the birth, apart from the vaccine that is being given at the birth, there is also a need that an adult TB vaccine should also be delivered, should be find out. And for this particular thing, global cooperation is needed. We have seen that collective will and action can see COVID-19 vaccine. It was finalized in the record time. How? Why? Because of the collective will and action. So such collective will and action should also be there for finding out the adult TB vaccine. The next thing that we need to do is to develop new therapeutic agents for TB. We need to develop new anti-TB drugs which are more effective. Even the anti-TB drugs that are being given, okay, they have been 5 decades old. So better effective TB drugs are needed to be find out. And then the next is AI, artificial intelligence assisted handheld radiology. Now see this thing, detection of TB actually happens to be a very big challenge. So identification of TB can be done by the AI assisted handheld radiology devices. So by the AI assisted handheld radiology devices, within 90 seconds and with 95% accuracy, the diagnosis of TB can be done. So this is something that should be focused upon. Moreover, passive surveillance and interpretation of cough sounds for TB is also another breakthrough area. So the people who have reported the cough for a prolonged period of time, they need to be basically their diagnosis needs to be done in such a way that if they had some TB, it could be identified in within the due course of time. This is guys all about this particular article. Fine. I hope that you have understood it. And now moving to the next article. The limits of American power in West Asia. The limits of American power in West Asia. Now, this particular article, guys, is talking about, fine. So, this particular article is actually talking about recent development that has happened in West Asia, where China has brokered a deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And as per this particular deal, Saudi Arabia and Iran will start their diplomatic relations. Okay, up till now, their diplomatic relations actually got suspended between these two countries after 2016. Now, the article is saying that the space of West Asia was traditionally held by America, but now the China is coming in this particular space, and this particular thing shows that the China's hegemony or the China's control over, sorry, yes, this thing shows that the China's hegemony or China's control in West Asia is increasing, but America's control is going down. So when we talk about the Gulf region historically has happened to be the American sphere of influence. Okay, but now this deal got brokered by China between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and what happened? USA just remained a spectator. Fine, USA remained a spectator. Now, the article is talking about this thing, that what is the reason that China is playing the leadership role in West Asia, why USA is not present. So there are reasons that USA actually has committed a lot of mistakes in West Asia in these last 20 years. Number one is intervention in Iraq. So what happened? The Iraq was invaded by the US in 2003, and basically laterwards it was found that the intervention in Iraq was majorly carried for the vested interest of USA. Okay, basically when Iraq intervention was carried, it was provided that the Saddam Hussein, he had the weapons of mass destruction. Second, it was said that it was a failed state, and third, it was said that Saddam Hussein has links with the Al-Qaeda. But these things have not been concluded, have not been conclusively proved up till now. So this intervention has been seen as a very wrong thing by USA, and it also led to the mindless destruction of the entire Iraqi state. So it reduced the credentials of US. Then in Syria also, what US has done, US invaded the Syria for what US done, USA wanted to seek the regime change in Syria without the full-scale invasion. Okay, and when we talk about the Iran, within Iran also, the USA had tried to contain Iran and has also tried to engage Iran at the same time, but it has failed here also. So because of these particular things, the USA had faced a lot of failures in the past 20 years, and the latest one is in Afghanistan. So what happened? USA stayed in Afghanistan for nearly 20 years, 2001 to 2021. It left Afghanistan, but again Taliban took control. So actually there are also the social media memes that are being made that US took 20 years to replace Taliban with Taliban. This is also a failure of US that is there, and because of this particular reason also, the US has faced a lot of failures. Now basically guys, before this deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia, which is brokered by the China, what was the USA's master plan for this region? USA's master plan was this, that what US wanted to bring all the Arab allies, Arab states, including Saudi Arabia, with the Israel, so that the Arab states and Israel together can contain Iran. Together they contain Iran. But actually what has happened now, Iran and Saudi Arabia both have come together. Okay. So Saudi Arabia was to pit it against Iran, but Saudi Arabia has become a friend with the Iran. So the US's plan has been failed. Okay, this is something that has happened. Now, the article is talking about this particular thing, that when we talk about the USA, why USA is not able to have a control in West Asia. There are many reasons for this particular thing. Why US's policies are failing in the region of West Asia? There are many reasons associated with it. Number one, deprioritization of West Asia. Deprioritization of West Asia. Right now, guys, what USA has done, USA itself has deprioritized West Asia and is focusing more on Indo-Pacific region and in Europe, where Russia-Ukraine war is going on. And when it is going on, and when USA itself has deprioritized, the countries here need some other allies, and China is making itself available. Okay, so therefore, USA's policy are failing. USA's policies is failing. Second, Israel has continually occupied Palestinian territories. Okay, now understand this thing. What is the dispute between Arab countries and between Israel? It is the Palestinian issue. Arab countries, they say that Israel has illegally came in our region and has made a nation of Israel, and the Palestinian territories are under control of Israel. Saudi Arabia has this problem, and what has happened? Israel is continuing its occupation on Palestine. So Israel and Saudi Arabian countries will not come together. Then third, when we talk about, guys, Israel, fine, Israel even doesn't want America. Okay, it is resisting American influence, and we have many examples for this thing. For example, guys, when USA imposed a lot of sanctions against Russia, Israel did not support it fully. Secondly, USA asked Israel to send weapons to Ukraine because of this Russia-Ukraine war, but that also has not been done by Israel. So Israel also is not liking too much of USA's intervention. So Israel doesn't want USA, Saudi Arabia doesn't want USA, USA itself doesn't want to be in West Asia. So therefore, this West Asian region has got deprioritized by USA, and China is coming in the vacuum and it is filling that particular space. Okay, so this is all about it, guys. And now moving to the next article. Okay, the protest in France over pension reform. The protest in France over pension reform. The protest in now. Basically, guys, you are not required to go too much in detail in this particular article. Just you need to have a brief idea that what is happening. So basically, now people are protesting in France. What is the reason that people are protesting in France? So see, France has a state-sponsored pension system. So in France, all the people who have retired, they get a state pension. Now they should be retired from a designated occupations that are there. Okay, and they are given the state pension, they are given the health care. This is something. Now, as of now, the age of retirement in France, sorry, is 62 years. So after 62 years, you will get a pension. Now, France's government is saying this thing, that what has happened, life expectancy in France is increasing. And if life expectancy will increase, let's say earlier a person was living till 70 years, got retired at 62, living till 70 years, you need to give pension only for 8 years. Now the same person is living for 90 years. So the amount of years for which the number of years for which you need to give pension, it increased to, let's say, 28 years. So it is putting a lot of pressure on France. So life expectancy has increased, and it is putting a lot of financial pressure on the pension system. Secondly, it has been said that aging population is increasing. Now less number of people are entering the workforce and more people are becoming old. Now see how the pension system is working in France. So right now the workers who are in the working age, they contribute some money for the pension, and that particular money is being used to pay the people who have already got retired. So when then and after a few years, when these workers will get retired, then they will get the money from the another set of workers who have joined. So now the France is saying that what has happened, working population has got down, aging population has went up, and they might not be able to sponsor the pensions. Okay, now the France has also given some data. According to France, it has been said that there were 2.1 workers who were putting money into the system for every one retiree in 2000. So for one retired person, there were 2.1 workers and they were putting the money in the system. What has happened? It has reduced to 1.7 workers per retiree in 2020, and it will go to 1.2 workers per retiree in 2070. So therefore, they want to bring some changes. And what change they have proposed? They have proposed a change that the retirement age is being increased. Okay, the age at which the pension will be given, it is being increased at 64 years. By 2030, it will be done. Every year, 3 months they will increase, and by 2030, the age at which the pension will be given will be increased to 64. Now, the people have not liked it, they are resisting it. So, this is something that is there. Okay, beyond that, you are not required to see anything. Fine. Now, moving to next article. Supreme Court to hear petitions seeking criminalization of marital rape. Supreme Court to hear petitions seeking criminalization of marital rape. Now, we will see this particular article, guys, with respect to GS paper number 1 and GS paper number 2, social issues, social justice issues related to women, etc. Now, what this particular article is actually talking about, let me give you some background information. See, Supreme Court has just taken a matter, nothing, final judgment has not come. And as final judgment has not come, fine, we don't not need to go too much in detail. So we have two of the sections in IPC, section 375 and section 376. And these two provisions deal with the rape. Section 375 talks about the definition of rape, and section 376 talks largely about the punishments for the rape. Now, what is actually a rape? Rape is the sexual intercourse that has been carried without the permission of that particular woman. That is the rape. Now, when we talk about, guys, rape, there is one particular exception in the section 375. It has been provided that if a husband carries a sexual intercourse with the wife, and even if the wife has not given the permission, then that will not be called as rape. If you guys you understand this thing, what makes rape a rape? Consent. What makes rape a rape? Consent. If consent was not there, it is rape. If consent was there, it is not a rape. Now, when a husband is carrying a sexual intercourse with the wife and wife has not given a consent, technically it should be rape. Technically it should be rape. But in India, it is not the case, because section 375 very clearly provides that no, section 375 very clearly provides that if husband has carried a sexual intercourse with the wife without the permission, it cannot be claimed as a rape. So in India, marital rape is not a crime. What is a marital rape? Marital rape is a sexual intercourse, forceful sexual intercourse done by husband with the wife. That is a marital rape. In India, marital rape is not a crime. Why? Because section 375 provides. But now there are many of the activists which have reached to different high courts, and they said that in India we should criminalize marital rape because rape is a rape. You cannot deem that once a woman had got married, she had given the consent in perpetuity. For the entire life she has given the consent. You cannot assume that thing. Fine, we need to have we need to reinterpret this exception. Now, this particular matter, guys, has been taken by Supreme Court. This particular matter has now been taken by Supreme Court, and Supreme Court will hear this particular matter and will give its judgment. So till then, we not need to go too much in detail, and as and when the Supreme Court will give judgment, we will track that thing. So that is all, guys, about this article. Now moving to the next article. Okay, now the article doesn't give much of a conceptual substance, but it's giving a kind of a factual information about the businesses that have exited in India, the foreign businesses that have exited from India, and the foreign new businesses that have entered the India. So if we see here, in the last 5 years, 5 or 6 years, it is being said that, for example, 2018, 102 foreign firms started operations in India, but 111 companies exited India. Okay. Likewise, in 2019, 137 firms started their operation and 133 firms exited. So it has been said that from 2018 to 2023, up till now, if we take 469 foreign firms have started India operations, but 559 firms have exited. So it shows that ease of doing business might be under a trouble. Ease of doing business might be under a trouble. So these numbers they have given. Fine. Fine. This is something that has been given. Now, guys, you can use this particular data. You can use this particular data in our GS paper number 3 related answers. Okay. Fine. And now taking the main practice question for today. So the main practice question for today, it reads, discuss the measures required to meet the goal of ending the tuberculosis epidemic by 2030 from the country. This will be the question for GS paper number 2 health, 10 marker question. Fine. That is all about it, guys. And with this, we come to an end to the today's session. Guys, I hope that you have liked the video. I hope that you have understood all the concepts that we have discussed here. So guys, if you have liked, please do hit the like button. Please do subscribe to the channel and please do leave your comments. Thank you so much. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves.